Good morning everyone and welcome back to a brand new video of Fox Flicks on Popcross Studios. Today we are hopping into Pantheon Reapers episode 11, Into the Multiverse of Decay. The one that separates the, I guess you could say, outermost multiverse from the Eldrin multiverse. Let's hop in and see what we learn today.
Welcome to the final chapter of Act 1 of my
Also, someone get out the notebooks, because we are going to need to be taking notes now.
ongoing fiction series, Mytholethal Pantheon Reapers, which, if you're new to my fiction stories, or you've come back to this channel after not having watched for a long time, which I'm getting a lot of comments of people saying they've done that recently, a great way to get into my fiction stories would be to watch my animated Benny Sharp Explains the Multiverse Tales timeline video, and from there you should easily be able to jump into Mytholethal Pantheon Reapers. I'll have that video and the full playlist for this series linked in a bunch of places. But anyway, for a recap of where we left off in the last episode, Alexis learned that she had not actually killed Mythal, and the two of them worked together to take down a bunch of Leonoline's monsters, then helped reveal to him that there's nothing actually wrong with his universe, as he had learned years and years ago when Mythal came to visit this place. Mythal, Alexis, Kaijagrex, and Leonoline then went to a restaurant in this dimension called Lee Ragamuffins, where Mythal then explained her story of her dark 8 decades in this same dimension, and her own personal growth that she went through here, as Alexis just went through 6 months of her own time growing in this realm. After Mythal told that tale, she then started launching into the story of what she was doing while Alexis was going through those months of growth, and Mythal's story of her time with Suvastrif and Cypheramov, two Archon demons in the non-physical realm, will be the majority of this episode.
One that was eaten by Tulsa, and the other one that was defeated by the Sharp Gang.
So I hope you all enjoy. Let's get into it, shall we?
Let's go. Hit like if you want. Subscribe if you feel like it. But either way, enjoy the show. Alright, here we go. To the non-physical plane.
Months ago, at least as far as Alexis's time in F920 is concerned, Alexis was shaking and crying over Mythal's seemingly slain body, while Mythal's soul was hesitantly being dragged by a massive shadow of a hand into a light that engulfed her. When it cleared, she was in a void. She could somewhat make out a form of her own consciousness, though she looked more like a silhouette of a generic human form than her usual body. She could only truly make out the form when she moved it. When she remained still, the form vanished into the void. It felt very relaxing. All the pains from her battle with Alexis had vanished, and she felt weightless. Well, I think I understand why Ortis has such a fascination with death. This is quite an exhilarating feeling. In the void near her was another much larger silhouetted figure with a purple glowing aura emanating from within. Then, almost imperceptible in comparison, was another silhouette, though this one looked more like a sphere with some tendrils emerging from it. So, safe to assume that you two are the Archons who were ejected from the game first, yes? Mythal thought, catching on quickly that speaking in this non-physical realm required an act of mental projection. A voice echoed from the purple aura.
Yes, indeed. Suvastrif is the name I go by. I've just told Kaijagrex of your whereabouts, by the way, so he's gonna take care of your body while you're here with us.
Oh, thanks.
Well, I'm both grateful and very much down to like the sound of that, Mythal grunted. So what? Do you two just kick back here and watch? No more fun for the slain Archons,
Kick back, pop a cold one, have some popcorn, shut up and watch the show.
Poor you.
At least the plan that Sharp Gang used to kill me was a deliciously convoluted endeavor, and sure, it's not so fun being sidelined while the others get to keep playing, but at least I can still affect some elements of reality from here.
Like what?
My sister, Cypheramov over there, is not so lucky.
Mythal turned to the other form. So, you're the one whose hand-me-down powers Tarsa is gallivanting around with,
Not really hand-me-down, more like stolen and consumed.
At least I can see the truth now. At least I'm finally severed from my ties to Rorik.
Rorik? Is that some adorable nickname for Big Daddy Archon?
Nope.
Mythal chuckled.
It's his real name.
It was his name when I first knew him, before this multiverse ever began.
Yep.
I was with him the first time he tried making a multiverse. A multiverse that now exists in a constant state of rotten decay. Like Rorik's heart.
The Archon sneered with evident disdain for Elder, and
The timeline is so crazy. You got, you know what? Screw it. We got the Bionite multiverse, and inside that, there was the multiverse of Decay, and inside that is the Eldrin multiverse. Oh, trying to pull out this all-out on timeline would be crazy, but so fun.
Mythil felt as though a sort of shudder emanated out of Suvastarif's form as her sister besmirched the Archon's leader. Well, offense very much intended, but from my brief interaction with Eldrorok, I don't think he requires much aid as far as being a joke is concerned.
Maybe you two shouldn't talk about this here,
Suvastarif stated quickly.
You may have had your tie to Elder severed, but I haven't. We don't know for sure that he can't listen in.
Her words suggested more fear than respect.
Yeah, that's
Mythil was
definitely fear.
intrigued. Maybe the House of the Archons was built on sand. Suvastarif continued.
I'll keep track of the weepy-reepy, but when you two get back, you'd better regale me with the story of this little game you just played with her, Godqueller.
And where is it we might be going?
Oh yeah.
Mythil asked, noticing Cypheramob's silhouette moving closer.
What are we moving?
I may have no more power in the Eldrin multiverse, but ever since Eldrorok began to remember his past, a back door has opened somewhere else. I can finally access memories of my own past and the multiverse of Decay.
Oh.
Very few physical forms there can play host to souls, but I found one that should hold the both of us. Fair warning, though, if you die in that form, I can't guarantee your soul will come back here.
Well, that's quite ominous.
Okay.
Is it at least a powerful physical form?
Yeah, no, I agree. Ominous as hell.
Mythil asked just before Cypheramob's aura engulfed her. The Archon replied.
It should suffice.
Mythil's eyes suddenly
I kind of already knew it was going to be Tulsa, but this is Decay Tulsa. It's Dorsa! I'm sorry. That was right there. It's Tulsa in the multiverse of Decay. Of course, you'd have to call it Dorsa.
shot open to find herself in a destroyed and rotting city. The brick of falling buildings looked like it was simultaneously melting and turning to mold. The stench was so foul Mythil choked, and was alarmed to hear that her voice crackled with a cybernetic twinge.
Is that me? What? Wait a minute.
She looked down at herself and saw a virus like the one Tarsa was utilizing, covering her body, and a melting cybernetic gauntlet in place of her arm. She saw a green puddle on the ground and some shattered concrete and rushed over. The smell fuming off the puddle almost took her out again, but she resisted gagging and looked at her reflection.
Oh, fascinating. Well, Ortis does always recommend we get in the heads of our enemies.
The reflection staring back at her was Tarsa's, or at least a decaying being that looked quite similar to Tarsa.
Duck or lose your upper half, Godqueller.
Cypheramov's voice suddenly rang in Mythil's head. She did as ordered, and a dull golden beam exploded over her, tearing through a row of crumbled buildings. Mythil whipped around to see a somewhat familiar 10-foot-tall hound charging towards her on all fours.
Well, Kaijigrex has certainly looked better.
Mythil realized Cypheramov had taken on the form of the rotting machine, overtaking part of Mythil's body as the Archon spoke again.
Okay, I guess that kind of makes sense, considering that this is what they looked like, quote-unquote, at first in the Bionite multiverse, the Bayuverse. Oh, hey! Bayuverse! There you go! Bayuverse, Decayiverse, Eldenverse. Boom! I like it when I just spontaneously come up with names like that. Yeah, even the pose is kind of the same, coloration and all that.
That thing rotting Rexy. He doesn't like Decay, Freya. Nobody likes anyone here. You should move.
Freya? Do you not mean Tarsa? Freya looked much different from this.
Not the Freya you're thinking of. Now move.
Mythil's instinct was...
Yeah, so of course this would have been an Eldrin's first attempt at making a brand new multiverse. So then of course everyone in here would be based on the bodies they had in the Bayuverse, which is why this is Freya and not Tarsa. It's actually kind of like a middle ground between both of them. You could almost call it Fralsa. Nope, that one was terrible.
To hurl her hands to her sides and summon weapons.
I'm gonna stick with Dorsa.
But she knew this wasn't her body. As much as Mythil wasn't one to run from a fight, without knowing what abilities she actually had to fight with, it seemed for now to be the only option. She turned and ran towards the partially intact bottom floor of a building and tackled through the mostly destroyed doors. Without her own action, Mythil felt a quartet of rockets spurt out of her back and fire at the place she'd just entered, making the building crumble behind her. The drooling ceiling above started to crumble as well. Mythil picked up her pace as she heard the four-legged figure crash into the building behind her. She heard a sound like a charging blast and knew she wouldn't reach the exit before it was fired. Thankfully, Seiferimov sent a droopy tendril out to her side, grabbed a slab of concrete and tossed it behind Mythil. The beam erupted, the concrete was struck and it was sent hurtling forward, slamming into Mythil's back and sending her crashing into the opposing wall. She smashed through it and rolled out onto the next street, then fell into a hole, dropping into the waters of a sewer beneath. She gagged again, but that same tendril grabbed something behind Mythil and yanked her out of the foul liquid. She was pulled into a dark hole in the wall of the sewer, then stepped back around the corner.
Stay quiet. He won't be able to smell us now,
Seiferimov urged in Mythil's head.
Yeah.
Mythil wanted to question the strategy, but did as ordered. She heard the four-legged brute crash down into the sewer. It made gurgling, sniffing sounds like a congested ogre. The sound approached. Mythil could tell the beast was right on the opposing side of the wall. She started scanning her own body, trying to feel out a sense of this Decay Freya's abilities, but she couldn't decipher much. Retreating and hiding felt so pathetic. She considered leaping back into the action, but knew it wasn't worth the risk. Finally, the beast passed, smashing his way back up through the ceiling onto the streets above and bounding off.
So, Rotting Rexy, What, was that Kaiju Rex's original form in this multiverse of Decay?
I would say that was Kaiju Rex's first attempt at a body in the multiverse of Decay, the Decay of Us. If we actually had to pick out something he was based on from the Bayouverse, I am not sure, other than the dinosaur aspect, like from the Dino Bionite, the Dino King Bionite, I forget its name.
Not exactly. In a way, his original form was that of a dog, one that Rorik kicked to death in the life he lived before I helped him steal the powers of a god.
Never mind, that's much worse. That is so much worse. He was... Oh, Kaiju Rex was his sister's dog. Oh, God. Oh, that is so... Oh. Dude, give Kaiju Rex's memories back. He's gonna look at Eldrog and be like, "You kicked me to death? I was a dog! What the fuck was wrong with you?" Oh, Eldrin would probably say some shit like, "Hey, you're still my mud, and I say get your ass to work." Oh, then Kaiju Rex is like, "Hell no, I'm helping kill you now." I'm calling it. Put that prediction up on the board.
Seiferimov replied angrily.
Well, that is all very dramatic, but enough of your vagary. From the beginning, what is this place? Who is Eldrorok really? And why have you seemingly shifted in your allegiance to him?
Because I've been helping him for longer than your multiverse has existed, and he still betrayed me anyway. Now that I remember that and I'm free, I think the Demiurge is trying to give me a hand in snuffing little Rorik out. But...
Demiurge?
Alright, from the beginning.
Okay, here we go. Get out the notebooks, people. We got a lot of info to put down. Let's get to it.
In his last life, Eldrorok was a kid named Rorik Eldrin.
Yep.
Superhuman abilities were a thing in his world, and he had pretty remarkable telekinesis. It was a rare ability, and his was probably the most powerful version of it to ever exist in that world.
I would agree,
Because of that, he always thought of himself as better than everyone else. He didn't care how he treated people. He saw other people as nothing more than pawns in a game or pets. He
Pawns, tools, pets, all of it.
learned how to manipulate people from a young age and quickly decided that he was the greatest psychological mind in the world, along with being the most powerful person thanks to his abilities. But he just wanted more and more power. In his early 20s, he found me, or at least the machine that would eventually become me. I have memories from that time
We all did kind of know that was going to happen.
when we met,
Good to at least now have that confirmed.
but I don't really know when I actually became sentient. All I remember was being a man-made weapon called a biomech that had been starved for power myself. So
For 5
we were a
years.
perfect match. He was powerful and I made him more powerful while feeding off his powers. But we both wanted more. We tricked some kids into helping us find the most powerful being from that
Agamonite, and I'm still butchering his name, so my mind is not wanting to say it. I'm sorry.
world. He was called Kahigona, an elder dragon from a species called Bionites native to that world. Legends in that world declared him to be impossibly powerful, but now I know they only ever saw a restrained version of his true power. We found Kahigona and I started to drain his powers into Rorik, but then the dragon merged forms with us and just zapped us out of that world. He transported us to a void much like the non-physical realm, and a battle commenced. I'm not sure
A battle?
how to describe what this battle was. I don't know if it lasted a few minutes or a few millennia. Brawling physical forms like a demonic god fighting a titanic dragon took shape, then vanished. Worlds formed for Rorik and Kahigona to battle upon, then also vanished, and the fight turned to a battle of minds. The more Rorik and I were able to access Kahigona's abilities, the more we felt their limitlessness, and the more desperate Rorik became to drain more. But all the while, I couldn't help feeling this sense. Rorik felt it too, I'm sure, but he'd never admit it. It was a sense that Kahigona was just playing with us. It was like this was all an amusing game to him. Even with all his immense powers, it was like he was still holding back. And in spite of that, eventually Kahigona finally lost the battle. Rorik and I stole enough of his powers to create an entire planet as a prison for him. One from which I could actively channel more of Kahigona's powers for Rorik. We were not able to steal all his power, it was too much to contain in any
A planetoid prison? Kind of like Ultron in a way. Oh, no, wait. I meant Unicron, my mistake.
form we made for ourselves, but we were able to control Kahigona's physical form. We turned him into a simple human child and trapped him in a colossal maze from which he could never escape.
Wait, so you took the most powerful dragon from that world after he lost a fight. You took as much power as you could, turned him into a human, and put him into a seemingly endless maze. Okay, we got that down. We got notes. Okay, listen for maze and human.
One that is quite similar to a prison that has since existed in your own multiverse.
The back cells?
Using the immense powers we'd taken, Rorik and I began forging an entire world. Rorik felt this was proof that he'd always been meant to be a god. He intended to make a world like the one he'd come from, but in which no people or creatures had any remarkable abilities. He'd let civilizations bloom, then he'd come and live among the people as their god. But the world turned out wrong. It seemed to be flourishing for some time, but the people, the animals, the plants, they all started to grow sick earlier and earlier in their lives as time passed.
Yikes.
Their flesh would rot while they still lived, and they'd all be filled with hate. Even when he tried to appear to that world as a god, the people despised him. He eventually left that world to rot and started again. Then again and again and again. He tried making whole separate universes, trying everything he could to make a world that would survive to praise him. But it never worked. Eventually, he went and found Kahigona in his prison and demanded answers, demanded to know why his creations kept withering and dying.
Go on.
Acting astoundingly chipper for someone imprisoned, he simply said, "You've given these beings no souls, and you're far too disconnected to your own to sustain them yourself." He provided a little more explanation, but Rorik simply ignored him. And things just kept getting worse from there. The more desperate Rorik became, the more echoes of his old life would spontaneously emerge. People and creatures in these worlds would be clear reflections of the life he once lived, and the more he tried to stop those figures from coming into being,
Like Freya and Rex.
the more he killed them as they arose, the more they'd return with more power and more distorted forms. The dog he'd slain in his past life, Rexy, returned over and over, eventually becoming creatures like that brute we just faced. Rorik's sister, Victoria, appeared as a figure who'd gain political power in various worlds, and sow seeds of distrust in Rorik anytime he came to a world to try and present himself as their god. Even versions of me would appear. Mechanical viruses would be unintentionally created by humans, or just emerge from nothing and start infecting and killing the people, leaving whole worlds to rot. Eventually, Rorik
see.
couldn't stand it anymore. He tried using his immense stolen power to erase his own memories of his past, so the echoes would cease. He erased my memories as well. Or so he thought.
Well,
I see
definitely
now that
tried.
he was really just repressing our memories deeper and deeper within. It didn't work either. The echoes came up again and again in each new world, even as Rorik erased more and more of his memories. Eventually, he came to think of me as the problem.
Wait,
All that
what?
time, all I'd ever done was help him. I let him wipe my memories. I was a dutiful servant. And he just eradicated me on a whim. I
Damn.
knew he was a pretty heartless kid, but after all that time, he hadn't even come to care about me? I was the one helping channel Kahigona's powers,
Wow.
though, so my guess is Rorik lost control after that. But I don't know for sure. The next memory I have is of being reborn into that non-physical realm, though until recently I had no memory of anything prior to that moment. Eldrorok was the first being I could sense, but I could also sense more and more beings coming into non-physical form around me. The other Archons.
I was just about to
I now
say.
know that Kydragrax is an echo of Rorik's pet, and Fantarel, who now goes by Toralei and has betrayed us Archons to work with the Sharp Gang,
Right.
is an echo of Rorik's sister.
Really now? Okay. So that's why she was so easy to taunt against Rorik. Okay. Mark that down. The Storm Archon is indeed his sister, or an echo of his sister.
The others are echoes of his past, they're ones I've yet to remember myself. But the point is, we came into form and were told by Eldrorok that we were tasked with creating all of physical reality by channeling the powers of a being called the Demiurge. None of us other Archons had ever been able to interact with this Demiurge other than Eldrorok. At least not until my connection to Elder was severed. When
Okay.
Tarsa stole my powers, whatever bond us Archons have to Elder vanished for me. After his last battle with Tarsa, in which a particularly strong echo from his past began awakening his repressed memories, a gateway was opened to this multiverse, and I heard a
Right.
voice say a very simple phrase. Come free me, and I will finally retrieve my power from Rorik. I have been coming here sporadically ever since. Thankfully,
Trying
the
to
lust
find
for
it.
power I was created with in my original form is still with me, and is helping draw me towards the most powerful beings in this multiverse in an effort to find him. But it's still a big multiverse, and I don't know if I've even gotten close yet. What's more annoying still is that
So that means the Demiurge must be Kahigona's human form.
I can't remain in many of these bodies for long. As I'm sure you can already feel, this one is trying to reject our presence in it.
Mythil nodded, feeling a horrible crawling and aching feeling in the flesh of this form.
Ugh, don't
She
like
exited
it.
her hole in the wall and leapt back up onto the street, now that rotting Rexy was long gone.
Right, so this Kahigona is the Demiurge then? And once freed, he'll, what, simply be able to take his powers back, just like that?
But wait, now another thought. If Kahigona does regain his powers and, kill Eldrorok, what would happen? I probably said this before in a previous video, but what would happen to the Eldrin multiverse? Would it all just be erased? What about all of our friends and family that we've come to know? Benny, Champagne, the Zeus that makes sandwiches, is Alexa, Mythil, Ortis, all of them. What would happen?
Your guess is as good as mine on that front. I don't know what happened between the old me being destroyed and the new me being born, but somehow Eldrorok clearly gained a way to imbue the things he created with souls so they could sustain themselves. Maybe he stole more power from Kahigona. I know he's here now trying to do that very same thing. He also clearly never found a way to stop the echoes from his past appearing in the Eldrin multiverse. He just didn't know that's what they were when they appeared. Even Tarsa is an echo from that life, a girl named Freya Sparks that he fought as Rorik just before merging with Kahigona.
Right.
Same story with Rot Agama over there. Get ready to run.
Wait. Rot Agama? As in Agama Knight? Let's go. Next drawing. Go.
Before Mythil could react, giant spikes of ice burst up from the street before her in an approaching line. She dove to the side to see a demonic-looking boy with ice growing out of him, lumbering forward with an eerie smile. He opened his mouth and a plume of
Agama was always smiling, like constantly.
frigid mist burst out towards Mythil. She leapt into the air, only moving about 20 feet up, less than she was used to being able to bound, but Cypheramov sent a tentacle onto the highest point of a broken building and yanked her farther along. Before she reached the top, Mythil felt a sharp pain in her back. Daggers of ice shot past her before she felt another blade pierce her leg. She landed on the uneven building top and stumbled over. She grabbed both icicles and yanked them out. But in an instant, Rot Agama had slid up along an ice track, sprayed by his clawed hand, and he landed on the roof with her. Getting an intuitive nudge like this body knew something it could do, she tensed her muscles and purple electricity burst out around her.
Ooh,
Rot
there you go.
Agama pounded his fist on the floor beneath them and shattered the ground under Mythil. She moved to run, but instead teleported right behind Agama. She was surprised, but acted quickly, kicking
Teleport lightning! Boom!
him in the back as hard as she could and sending him spinning out into the air. He sprayed another ice track to land on, but just crashed through it and dropped like a rock into the street below. Channeling that same teleportation ability, Mythil zapped herself across building tops, getting as far from her foe as she could as quickly as possible. Though each time she used the ability, it took longer to use the next time. She managed to evade Rot Agama, but there were far more foes for her to face in her time in the multiverse of Decay. Back in the present, Mythil was finishing her last bite of food in Lee Ragamuffins, telling this very story to Alexis, Leonoline, and Kaijagrex. Grex had gotten uncharacteristically quiet. Alexis and...
Well, yeah, I mean, how would you... Oh, right, I forgot he was done. But yeah, still, imagine how would you react if you just found out, oh, I'm an echo of a dog he kicked to death in his previous life? Oh, God.
Leonoline just seemed entirely entranced. Mythil continued. So, essentially my time with the two Archons was spent periodically watching you, exchanging tales with Suvastrif, and leaping into various rotting bodies in the multiverse of Decay in an effort to find this Kahigona or Demiurge, if they truly are one and the same.
That's my
Alexis
theory.
finally spoke up, asking, I'm guessing you had no luck, but how do we know freeing this being will even help? What if he can't take his powers back? Or what if he ends up being so bitter about how long he was trapped that he becomes...
I just realized Rot Agama here is actually a full fusion of Agama Knight and his partner. Damn.
a worse villain than Eldrorok? Mythil shrugged. All reasonable concerns, but frankly, for the time being, there is not much we can do about it. Cypheramov is endeavoring to find a way to send physical beings into the multiverse of Decay to search, as she does more searching herself now. But with Eldrorok temporarily incapacitated, it is likely a more pressing matter at the moment to focus our efforts on killing Tarsa. For all we know, the other Archons may handle each other. Cypheramov is actively working to kill Eldrorok, and Psychopedlict's actions in this realm suggest he is interested in the same outcome. Finally, Grex arced up again, slamming his fists onto the table.
Psycho is not trying to kill Elder. Neither is Psy. They might be mad at him, but we're family.
Mythil glanced him up and—
I would be like, dude, he kicked you to death just because you were his sister's dog. You literally were innocent, and he beat you to death because of it.
Down as he furiously panted, she simply muttered, "Are you trying to convince us of that, or yourself, Rexy?" He opened his mouth like he wanted to bite her head off, but Alexis cut in first. Wait, so what did Psychopedlict actually do here? What did he want with this dimension? Mythil shrugged. Even for the Archons watching over things from the non-physical realm, it is difficult to track someone through the multiverse unless they explicitly state where they're going, let alone attempting to track someone such as another Archon in this realm.
That's true.
Suvastrif did watch Psychopedlict enter this place a few months back, and from the way he spoke to poor Leonoline here, it was clear that he intended to try creating something more powerful than is meant to be possible in our multiverse. He seemed to think the dimension of shattered time had other elements of its reality shattered which would allow him to achieve this. It is unclear whether—
Was he trying to create, like, a new body that could actually rival Eldrorok?
This was directly Eldrorok's doing or not, but our reality does have limitations that the wider multiverse outside our own does not share. Supposedly. Though it's hard to say, as not even Cypheramorph can access the multiverse beyond the confines of the Multiverse of Decay, which seems to act as a wall around our multiverse, keeping us all in.
Kind of is.
It is not yet clear what Psychopedalic managed to do, if anything. All Suvasterif saw after his time with Leonoline was when he transported out of this realm, and appeared rather frustrated, as if his endeavor had failed. Since then, he has been doing all he can to keep much of his actions off the radar of the other Archons.
I guess you could say he's trying to stay off-screen, ah?
Suspiciously so. Suvasterif has even begun to think something is awry with the Archon Romilisect. She has been oddly elusive and has done very little in the way of ravaging universes with her own demons.
Actually, yeah, where the hell is she? I cannot think of a single episode she's actually been... No, wait. She was in the Death Arena, but she was only a viewer.
And when she does, it appears as a rather half-hearted endeavor. Alexis nodded. That doesn't surprise me. We rarely come across Romilisect's demons, and when we do, they're really easy to defeat. Which is weird, considering she was powerful enough once to make a force field that even affected my Reaper powers. Well, perhaps we'll get lucky and she is concocting her own scheme to defeat Eldrorok, as its clear trust in him amongst most of the Archons is waning. Suvasterif and Cypheramov are no saints, to be sure, but they both attested to having lost interest in destroying this multiverse. They enjoyed their time taking physical form in it, and seemed open to negotiations about being less murder and destruction hungry if granted a chance to take physical form once again.
How about regular-ass human bodies with no power?
Not saying we'd have to abide, considering all the death and destruction they have caused, but it is worth keeping in mind. The point is, while Eldrorok may be able to channel more power than he's possessed before, there are other Archons gunning for him now, or considering doing as much in the least, and there are likely options for how we can access greater power than is supposedly possible in our multiverse, should we require more strength to defeat Elder, as Psychopedalic endeavored to find in F920. For the time being, it is likely best that we remain focused on Tarsa, as she is
I'm just realizing Rot Agama's outfit is quite literally his suit. Oh, and it's not even like the old suit from before the time skip. It's the one he wore in the championship fight.
Actively slaughtering people, while Eldrorok is taking a power nap and is not currently a threat. Suvasterif even gave some suggestions for how we might lure Tarsa out again. But all that is better to be schemed up once we return to your friends and my family. My preference is still to focus on being a fist than a mind, so I say we bring all this information to the group and let the brainier ones like my husband concoct the plan. I'm sure you must miss your friends at this point, yes?
Yeah, come on.
Alexis had a lot of information to process, but Mythil was right. Even if she'd let go of her need to ever return to them months ago, Alexis couldn't deny she was excited to see her friends again. Even if Sterling were still unconscious, it would be nice to see him again, too.
He's not unconscious, but he's not technically home. If you don't know what I'm getting at, go back and watch the previous episode.
It's gonna be weird, isn't it? Alexis said. Going back to them the instant after we left? No time will have passed for them, but so much has happened to me, to both of us. They're still going to be understandably mad about me letting Tarsa go. Mythil leaned back in her seat. Oh, I think we can return slightly after we left. Give them a bit of time to stew in concern and to miss you. Say, half a day or so?
12
Alexis
hours?
chuckled slightly.
Yeah, okay.
That doesn't seem very nice. Mythil smirked. I didn't say it was nice. But I'm the one who knows how to get out of here at the intended time, so I don't really have to give you a say now, do I? Alexis laughed again, accepting Mythil's decision. Leonoline paid for the meal, and they said their goodbyes to him. I am so profoundly sorry about what a ninny hammer I was, Reaper. Return here anytime you wish, but know that I will never force you back here again. And if I can help with anything, you know where and when to find me. Thank you. Alexis smiled softly. I'm glad you're back to normal. I will make sure to check in on you now and then, in case of any Archons returning. Mythil gave her old friend a big hug, promising to return more often as well. Mythil grabbed hold of Alexis and Kaijagrex, closed her eyes, and white mist overtook them all. When it cleared, they were all back in the Asgard of Dimension A141, where they'd first parted from the others.
Finally
Mythal returned to them 7 hours after they'd left. There was still some sound of
only 7 hours? Huh, okay.
gunfire, but it seemed the battle had concluded and that the multiverse traversing team had left. It was then Alexis's turn to act as transport. She grabbed Grex and Mythal and zapped them all to Dimension A016. They appeared on a forested hill looking down towards a large rectangular silver building, known by Alexis and her friends as the Sharp Tank.
Hey,
Alexis took a deep breath. She didn't know if they'd still be angry, but she at least knew she was returning with good news. The trio could have gotten down the hill in a quick flight and jump, but they all chose to walk instead. Mythal could practically see the gear.
You gotta stretch those legs.
Turning in both Alexis's and Grex's heads. Mythal had questions for Kaiju Grex about his seemingly determined allegiance to Eldrorok, but she didn't want his answers to distract Alexis, so she kept them quiet for the moment. They got to the front doors, but before Alexis could grab them, they were swung open. Kate, her hair slightly cleaned up into a pixie cut after having chopped some of it off while fighting with Tarsa,
Hey, Kate.
burst out. "You jerk!" she yelled, and Alexis was shocked for a moment. Before Kate stepped past Alexis and punched Kaiju Grex in the face. His head barely turned.
You jerk? What did I do? Punches Kaiju Rex? Oh, you meant him.
with the blow. "Someone stronger than me punch him," she yelled before turning to
Hold on, I gotta rewind. I was laughing over that.
Barely turned with the blow. Kate stepped past Alexis and punched Kaiju Grex in the face. His head barely turned with the blow. "Someone stronger than me punch him," she yelled before turning to Alexis and aggressively grabbing her and wrapping her in a hug. "What did he do to you? Are you okay? You smell terrible." Alexis
You smell terrible. I haven't had a shower in 6 months.
just hugged her back. "I'm okay. I'm great, actually." Much of the rest of the team came charging up to the doorway along with Ordis, Narati, and Sagan. Mythal wrapped her arms tightly around her husband as Sagan asked, "You good, Grandma? You give the big guy a firm beating?" Grex was too distracted to conjure up a growl in reply. Mythal smirked. "He was not a problem. He simply gave Alexis and I some time to chat." Kate pulled back from Alexis as Mara stepped closer. "Sorry we were so rough on you about, you know. I mean, we do still think we need to talk about how to handle Tarsa, but..." Alexis hugged Mara and cut her off.
It's good now.
"It's okay.
It's fine.
I get it now. Mythal helped me a lot. In a way I honestly don't want to get into right now, but the point is, I'm ready. I really genuinely am ready to kill Tarsa. It's the right thing to do. I can feel it. I know it, and I'm sorry I didn't realize that sooner."
There you
Kate's
go.
eyes shot wide open with excitement. Others looked excited as well. But not everyone was. "Is you serious?" Narati groaned, stepping closer.
Right.
"You spend a few hours with me, Mum, and decide to become a murderer? You're really gonna..."
Before I take it back, wait, no. I did not spend a few hours with your mom. I spent 6 months trapped in a realm out of time after I technically killed your mother. That's a full-on story. Let's go inside, get some paninis on the grill, grab a couple of beers, and get to talking, because I got 6 months to tell you guys about everything.
Erase your moral code that easily?
Alexis was just frozen for a moment, unsure how to respond. Mythal said, "Narati, I did not force anything upon her. She came to the conclusion herself. Her moral code is fully intact. Her mindset has simply shifted." Narati reeled her head back like she was about to launch into a speech, but before she could, a voice called from the back of the group. "Hey, folks, so I don't want to get your hopes too high with this
Benny.
reveal, because Silva ain't really back, but also..." The group turned, and some alarmed and excited gasps echoed through the front foyer. Alexis rushed forward, and the group parted. When they cleared from her sightline, Alexis could see, between Benny and Heath, was Sterling, on his feet, awake. Alexis was ecstatic, but then processed what Benny said. "Wait, what do you mean he's not really back? He's right here." He opened his mouth, and while it sounded like Sterling's voice, there was something clearly off about it.
Well, yeah, of course it's gonna be his voice. I don't think that changes just because the mind did.
Right. Well, I'm not actually your friend Sterling. This is his body, but he's not in here. My name's
Yeah.
Chanel, and I'm not from this universe. Or even this multiverse.
Okay, and now that we know about the whole Echo things, we do technically know that Chanel's Echo would have been Ludum, whatever, you know,
Well, I
Psycho
hope
bitch.
you enjoyed Mytholethal Pantheon Reapers Act 1, and we will be rolling into Act 2 on the usual schedule, coming out 2 weeks from today.
Yes.
And I had said I was going to take a vacation after Part 1 and after Book of Bayou Nights finished, but I don't really feel like I need one, so I probably will still be posting videos as usual next week. Maybe on a weird schedule, we'll see. But now that I only have one intensive creative writing fiction series going, I just don't really feel like I need a vacation. I'm having enough fun with
Gonna
Art
be
and
fine.
Antics and in the Audacity era that I just don't really feel like I need time off yet. By the way, the Multiverse of Decay, which I'm very excited that more lore is coming out about it now, was originally going to be called the Grim Multiverse, hence my last art book being called Gone
Oh, clever.
Grim, and I was going to suggest that some of the designs from that were variants that exist in the Multiverse of Decay, but when I was in writing, I wrote the word Decay, and I was like, ooh, that Multiverse of Decay just sounds better. So I just went with that. Anyway,
It is
besides
pretty
that,
good.
that's all for today, except, of course, for ending this video on some kind of positive or inspiring note. And the thought I want to leave
What you
people
got?
with today is something that I'm surprised hasn't come up since I started recording, and that is that there has been a fire alarm sporadically going off while I've been recording audio today,
Oh.
and that's something that used to really frustrate me when something would interrupt me while I was recording audio, and today I just decided to use it as a way to make myself laugh. Wait, so what did...
Oh,
Any time the fire alarms went off while I was recording, I just did a little dance to myself as if it was music playing, and then went right back onto recording, usually after...
so wait, do you live in an apartment complex then? Huh. I mean, I guess that's a possibility. We don't really know how everyone is living.
having a little chuckle to myself. So the inspiring
Just having
endnote
fun.
is a reminder that you don't always have to let external circumstances determine how you feel and how you act. Something that could have been frustrating or annoying, I turned into something that genuinely ended up making my day better. So consider...
From a fire alarm to a dance alarm. Alright everyone, that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of you next time when we flick back on. Till then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.